Here we are at Booneys Lake on the Manor Farm complex. It's a lake I've not fished before, but it's been on my list for absolutely ages. Can't wait to get started. I've done a lap already, found some fish. I'm blown away with how crystal clear the water is, how nice the fish look. I've seen some feeding right in the edge and they look really scaly, really nice. So yeah, can't wait to get started. The reason that we're down here as well is I've got the new 𝗃𝗶𝗺𝗶𝗵𝗏 bait boat with me. We're going to take that for a spin, see how it works, show the functions of it, and hopefully, of course, catch a few carp. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get started, and fingers crossed we catch a few fish. Right, so we've got 3 rods out fishing now. I really thought we might get a quick bite, but it's looking like perhaps it's not going to be as easy as I thought. There were a lot of carp in this swim, all around in the bay to my right, and then even drifting out in front of me. In terms of finding the spot, I put the bait boat out first without anything in there to find 3 spots that I was happy with. I know it's really weedy here. I know because it's an old gravel pit, there's loads of different depth changes, so I didn't want to load up a rod, send it out there, find something I'm not happy with, bring it back in. I thought it would be easier just to go out with the boat, find the spots, pinpoint them in, and then go from there. I found a couple of spots close to the reed bed where I've seen the most fish, one in about 6 foot of water right on the edge of the reed bed, and one a little bit further into a little indent. It's a little bit deeper there as well, not quite as hard, but a lot of fish were milling around there, so it looked like a good area. I've also found a big clear spot out in the middle that fish have been drifting over, and that's on the top of a bar, so providing the swans don't attack the spot, I think that could do a bite as well. I'm going to leave it a couple more hours here. The rod's been out for an hour or so already. I do think we should have had a bite, so I'm getting a little bit nervous that we haven't, and I won't lie, a few of the fish have started to drift off with all the angling pressure. So I'm going to leave it a little bit longer, see if they drift back in. If not, I'm probably going to go for a little wander and see if we can find an opportunity. I think this could be a really good swim for the night, so I suspect we will be back here to do the night, but perhaps I will go for a little stalk somewhere at one point during the day before it gets too dark. So that's the plan. I'm going to sit in the hands for a couple of hours, see if we can get a bite. All the rods are fishing. I'm happy with how they're fishing. Let's just hope those fish move back in numbers and we can get a bite. I think it's very easy when you're baiting up with a bait boat to load those hoppers right up, get as much bait in as possible. And of course, sometimes that's what you need to do if the fish are really having it, or if the venue's not seen bait boats too often, then having a big dumping of bait can really help you. But on venues like this, busy 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏 waters, where a lot of anglers do use bait boats, I think that sometimes going too heavy with the bait in, it can really put the fish off. And what you're better off doing is spreading a little pinch of bait across the 2 hoppers and really just fish for that classic bite at a time. By having too much in there, the fish really can switch off and you'll be doing yourself a disservice. So when you're fishing venues like this, in short periods of time, we've got less than 24 hours on this session, going heavy with the bait for me is a big no-no, and just put a little pinch in and get that bite. I think that's something really important to consider when you're fishing with bait boats and baiting up with bait boats. Well, it seems like the fish really have moved off, sadly. Speaking to a few of the local anglers here, they do say that the fish can bounce around quite a bit, and the best thing to do if you feel like the fish moved off is to go and find them. So that's what we're going to do now. We've loaded the barrow up. We're going to go for a little move, see if we can find any opportunities. But I still think we're going to come back here. I think this will be a great night swim. I think they will get here in the evening. So for the hours of light, at least, we're going to go for a move and then head back here and do the evening here. So that's the plan. Start chasing a few carp, see if we can make something happen. So we've gone for a little trek round to the side of the lake, and straight away we've found some fish right in the edge. So close in, I'm not going to need the bait boat. I think I'm just going to fish with one rod, drop it right on the head, sprinkle a bait, sit back, and it does look really good for a bite. So yeah, let's crack on with that. Like I said, it looks amazing for a bite. Fingers crossed we catch one. It does seem like the majority of the fish are a little bit further out. They're not quite as close in as they were before, so I think the bait boat needs to come out again. I'm going to trying to be really quick and quiet and drop 2 rods on the light weed that's out there. Put pop-ups on, so I'm hoping I'm presented. I'm going to really flake down all the boilies, so I've got a nice little bit of attraction that's sitting on top of that weed, and I just hope I get a bite. There's a lot of fish here, but actually fishing for them and getting a rod in the water is proving to be quite difficult, so that's the challenge at the moment. I think if we can do that without spooking them, and we're presented, then we're going to get a bite, but that does seem to be the challenge. Well, somehow I think I got away with it. I put the bait boat on stealth mode, which seems to have worked in not disturbing the fish. I've got 2 rods out there over now where the fish keep ghosting past. I've already had a couple of liners, so it's looking really promising. I'm just hoping I'm presented. It looked clean on the echo, it looked good to go. So yeah, now it's in the hands of the carp. We'll give it at least a few hours and see if our luck changes and we're able to bag one of these carp. Well, the sun's setting and somehow we've not caught one. I don't really know what the reason is. One theory I've got is I think the fish are smashing the naturals. I have seen a couple feeding in the edge. They've really been attacking the weed at the edge of the spot. So I'm thinking that maybe they're a little bit obsessed with something natural in the weed, which can happen in the summer. So that's my excuse right now anyway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reel in, I'm going to go back to the original swim. I think that's going to be the best spot for the night. I imagine that the fish have moved back in there, and even if they've not moved back in, they were there this morning, so hopefully it'll be there tomorrow morning. I can get a first light bite. Yeah, feeling really despondent I've not caught one, I won't lie. I really thought we had a chance there, but sadly, yeah, no fish in the net. So all we've got to do is keep trying, new roll of the dice, and see if we can make something happen. Here we are back in the night swim. I so wish I'd have a carp to show you already at this point, but sadly that's not the case. We can't get too despondent. It's the first time we've been at this venue. We've only been fishing for a few hours, so let's crack on. Let's get everything perfect for the night. The good thing about the situation I'm in now is it's really easy to get back on those spots that I fished earlier. I'm really happy with the spots. I think the fish just moved out. So all I've got to do is get that bait boat out, click the pin, and it will drive straight out to the spot. I can get a nice dumping of bait out there, get everything perfect, and then just leave it until I get a bite. That is what is going to happen. I'm going to manifest it. It should be straightforward, hopefully. Let's get cracking. We've got about an hour, 2 hours left before it gets completely dark. So if we get them out quickly, we might even get a nice bite before sunset. I've got to say, this is what I do really like about summer fishing. Beautiful evening, still warm enough to be wearing shorts and t-shirts, just chilling out. Yeah, it would only be better if we caught a carp as well, but we haven't. But we're fishing, all the rods are out perfect. I've just seen a fish show along that reed line as well to where I'm fishing, so it looks good. I'm hoping that we can be woken in the night to a bite. I'm told that this swim, it does have good nighttime form, so hopefully it pays off for us. But yeah, fingers crossed we get one. That's all I can say. Remain hopeful. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, by no means have I meant to hijack Henry's session, but last night when he said to me, did I want to have a go on the deeper bait boat and put some rigs out? I couldn't say no. I spent 10 minutes with it, incredibly easy to use, found a couple of clear spots and just lowered a couple of rods onto it, and this is my prize for doing so. First light bite, absolutely love it when it works out like that. 27 pound of fantastic Booneys mirror. Let's give him a lift. See if he beats me up. And there he is, absolutely cracking fish. Like, so made up with this one.
So I've been using the new 𝗃𝗶𝗺𝗶𝗹 bait boat on this session. I've been using it for a while now, and I can genuinely say it is far and away the best bait boat I have ever used. I can't recommend it enough. I'm a massive fan of it. I'm going to explain to you why I think it is such a good piece of kit. First up is just how easy it is to use. All I do is turn the bait boat on, turn the handset on. The handset automatically connects to the bait boat, and then your phone connects to the handset. Once it's connected to the handset, you open the 𝗃𝗶𝗺 app on your phone. This is the same app that you use for the sonar. So if you've got any sonar users out there, it's the exact same app that you've already got on your phone. Once you're connected, everything comes up exactly the same as it is for the sonar. On one side of the screen, you've got the map, so you can see the lake you're fishing, you can see where you're situated, you can see where all your points and your spots are, and then the other side of the screen, you've got the actual sonar reading. It's so easy to use, even inputting your spots, choosing areas to scan, even the echo itself. Once you understand what you're looking at, it's all very straightforward. I think that this is a massive plus point of this bait boat. So many bait boats, they've got external fish finders, they're super complicated to work, they don't seem to want to connect with all the different aspects of that bait boat, and you can get frustrated and you can end up not using it and you can end up ruining your session. I've yet to have any negative experiences with the actual usage of the Quest bait boat, and that is a reason why I think it is such a good piece of kit. Another great aspect of this bait boat is the way it's actually built. It's a very sleek design, it's very modular in the way it's built. So you open up the side compartments, there's no wires all over the place, it's just 2 little slots for your batteries, little charging ports. It's built very sensibly and with the angler in mind. Also, another great thing about the way it's built, the materials that are used means that it's super light. I've used bait boats in the past that are 15, 16, 17 kilos, so heavy to the point where they could become a hindrance, whether that's when you're loading it up onto your barrow to go to a swim or you're actually taking it out of the water. It's a massive effort. I think this bait boat's about 8 kilos in weight, and it surprises me still to this day when I'm picking it up each time just how light it is. Bait boats nowadays have far surpassed just a remote control boat that drops your bait. It needs to have a good sonar, and the sonar in this, it really is up there. It uses the 𝗃𝗶𝗆 technology sonar, and whether that's a case of using it to find fish or using it to really see the detail on the lake, it is really high quality. Ian was super impressed with it. I showed him earlier exactly how much detail you can get from it, finding those tiny little spots in the weed, little hard spots compared to softer areas. You can see a lot with this sonar, and once you understand what you're looking at, which doesn't take very long to master, you really will have a massive carp fishing tool in your armory, because understanding how to read a good sonar, like the sonar in this Quest, it will help you catch more carp. And the Quest sonar, yeah, it's definitely up there with one of the best sonars that are available in bait boats on the market. Along that same train of thought, you also need to have a good GPS on these bait boats, because when you're returning to home, when you're driving out to your spots, you want it to be able to be super accurate and not feel like you're drifting off your spot. And again, this bait boat, it's got a very good GPS system. Whether that's, like I said, driving out to your spots, I think it's accurate to about 1 meter, which is pretty much as good as you're going to get in a bait boat. Or if you want to select an area of the lake to scan, or you can actually select a route for the bait boat to scan. So let's say you arrive at a lake for the first time, you're out in France for a week, you're fishing, you get there, and you want to have an understanding of what's out in front of you in that water. Whilst you set up your bivvy, you get your rod sorted, you can actually program this bait boat to scan the area in front of you. You don't even have to be looking at it. It'll scan the area, it'll come back to you, and then once it's back to you, you can go back and have a look at what it scans. So you'll be able to actually have a good understanding of what's out there within the first 20-30 minutes of arriving at a lake. So that is a really useful feature. A complaint that I sometimes see on the internet, or that I get myself, about actual deepers are the range can sometimes be unstable. And this can be the case if you're going really long distances, you don't have the range extender, or you're not in a clear line of sight of the deeper. This is not an issue with the bait boat because of this antenna and this antenna. It means that the connection's far more stable, and providing you've got a clear line of sight with your bait boat, you can actually get up to 400 meters range. You can probably actually even get a little bit further, but 400 meters is what Deeper are happy to say you'll guarantee connection with this bait boat. There's nothing worse than having your bait boat go to your spot at 150 meters and all of a sudden you start to lose connection. The signal on the sonar's not coming back very strong. You'll start losing your head. You'll start cursing the bait boat. This won't happen with this one. And I'll be very surprised if you're ever in a situation where you're fishing further than the range can allow. If you're fishing further than 400 meters with a bait boat, yeah, fair play to you. That's a pretty extreme situation. But for pretty much 99.9% of your fishing, you lose range with this bait boat. There's plenty more things about this bait boat that I absolutely love. It's got an inbuilt air cooling vent system so that you don't get humidity buildup in the bait boat, which could potentially damage it. It comes with a lot of spare parts so that if you do get a minor breakage, like some sort of damage to the weed guard, you can replace it and fix it yourself. There's also 3 different ways you can drop bait. It's got 2 hoppers here, and it's also got a PVA distribution system on the back. So if you want to drop solid bags, or you've got little PVA mesh sticks on and you're worried about them getting wet in the main hopper, you can stick them in this back hopper and you won't have to worry about it dissolving before it goes into the water. I really can't recommend this bait boat enough. If you're in the market for a new bait boat, one with a reliable GPS, a high quality sonar, a tool that's going to add more fish to the bank for you, then this is the bait boat you should be looking at. Like I said, I've been using it quite a lot myself now. I've had absolutely no issues with it whatsoever, and I can't see myself using any of the bait boat since I've been using the Quest Deeper bait boat. Right, the swim is vacated and it's time to get on our toes again and make a move. Although Ian did really well to catch that pretty stunning mirror, I am staring down the barrel of a big fat blank. So with the 6 or 7 hours we've got left, I'm gonna do everything in my power to try and change that. I did see some fish this morning. I left the rods with Ian and went for a little walk down towards the islands. So I'm gonna go have a look down there, see if they're still there, see if we can catch one. If not, keep lapping till we see some opportunities and just hope and pray we get that bite that I'm after. So yeah, just not wasting any more time, get on the move and come on, Booneys. Please give me a carp. I do not want to blank at this place. Well, we're really edging towards the end of the session here, and I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the best use of the little time we've got left. I've come down to the far end of the lake, baited a few spots in the edge where I've seen a few fish nearby. Come back to the first spot I baited, it's fizzing up like crazy, and I've just seen a fish lift up off of it. So I think the best thing to do is try and sneak a rod in there as quietly as I can and hope that the fish don't spook me and get a bite. It looks really, really good for a bite, but I've said that loads of times this session, so my hope's not sky high, but I do think we've got half a chance here. I'm just gonna put a fresh hook on, get everything perfect, and go lower rod right in the edge and see if that does us the bite that I'm craving at the minute. Here are my 5 tips for fishing more efficiently with a bait boat. My first one is don't overload the hopper. It's very, very easy and very, very tempting to load those hoppers up so that they're piling high with bait falling out over the bait boat as you drive it out, and you think that that's gonna do you more bites. Often the case is it actually scares off fish. There's nothing more blatant than a massive pile of bait dumped on a tiny little spot, and that's exactly what full hoppers of a bait boat will do. Of course, there's times where the fish are really having it and you do want to give them a bit more bait, but for the most part, go easy on the bait. Don't go too blatant because I think it will turn fish off. My second tip refers to when you're using a bait boat with a GPS and the sonar, and that is to find your spots before you actually go out with a rig and bait loaded in your bait boat. I've done it before where I've had my rig in, my bait in, I've driven it out, trying to find the spot, thinking I know where I want to fish it. The echo's fed it back that it's not actually a good spot. I spent ages driving around, my line gets all tangled, it's a nightmare. So the best thing to do is go out, find your spots with the echo, plug them in to your GPS, come back to the bank with the bait boat, and then it's simply a case of plugging in your spot and it drives straight out to that spot that you found nice and easy with perfect line though. My third tip is to not always go at full speed, especially when you're approaching a group of fish. If you're ever in the situation where you can put your head underneath the water when someone's driving a bait boat, do it, because you'll be shocked at how far the sound travels and how loud those engines sound. Even little motors on small bait boats, they can sound really, really obvious and they can throw the fish off. So the best thing to do is when you're approaching a group of fish, go really, really slowly, really, really steadily, because you'll actually spook less of them. I think that's quite an important thing to consider when you're using a bait boat and when you want to drop it in amongst some feeding fish. My fourth tip is don't feel for the drop on a tight line the second that lead comes out of the bait boat. What will happen if you do that is the hook bait will actually swing away from that dumping of bait. The best thing to do is, and it takes a little bit of practice to do this, is let out a little bit of slack line and try and catch the lead just before it hits the bottom of the lake bed. So what you're doing there is it falls freely and then you catch it so everything falls away nicely and your rig's presented perfectly, but you've not pulled that hook bait away from the bait. Obviously with an echo, it'll tell you how deep it is, so you can sort of gauge how much slack you need to give based on how deep the spot is. Like I said, it takes a little bit of practice. When you get the hang of this, you'll be able to feel exactly how much line you need to give, and you'll catch it just before it hits the bottom, and everything will be presented absolutely perfect. Tip number 5 is an important tip, not just for bait boats, but for modern carp fishing in general, in my opinion, and that is to learn how to read an echo. An echo is such a useful tool when it comes to understanding the topography of the lake. Echoes are commonplace on bait boats now, so understanding exactly how they work and what information they're telling you will definitely help you catch more fish. So those are my top 5 tips for bait boat fishing. If you utilise some of them, I'm sure you're going to improve your bait boat fishing and catch plenty more carp. Yeah, are you filming now? No! No! Oh my God. That hurt so much. That whole thing was so cool. That basically stalking them, seeing them come down. I've seen so many fish come down. Thankfully it wasn't one of the big ones, but hook's just slipped out.
Beyond gutted, I just lost that one. Genuinely. Can't believe it. Thankfully it wasn't a big one. It's probably the smallest fish I saw. 12-pound common, so it's not the end of the world. There's still fish here feeding. I managed to get a rod back out and there's still fish on the spot. So the ones I have seen are much bigger and much better. So I'm hoping that it just means we're going to get a better opportunity to catch a nice fish. But I'm wounded right now. Honestly wounded.
Well, I've been told that this lake is very good for a bit of surface fishing, but the bird life's made it impossible. However, a bay just to the left of where I'm fishing right now, I just lost that carp. There's some carp sat in the weeds, so I didn't even know I'd gone off. I just grabbed the rod, went down there and put a few freebies out. They started taking them, put on an artificial mixer, dropped on his head, and yeah, we're in. But it's absolutely churning through the weed. I've got a very small floater hook on, barbless, so I don't want to count my chickens just yet. Oh, no. Is he in? Yeah, he's in, he's in. We caught a Booneys carp, come on! That has been a lot harder than I thought it would be. But in that net, we've got a lovely mid-double common. We've caught one. Thank God for that. Well, the conditions have been cooling for a bit of floater fishing. The weather, it's been the hottest day of the year. The fish have all been on the surface. It's proved really difficult to get them going on the bottom. 20 minutes of proper floater fishing and I've got one. Not the biggest carp in the world, but oh my God, is it welcome. After losing that fish earlier, probably about the same size as this one, feels like proper redemption. And I can go home without having blanked, with a big smile on my face, and just so thankful we managed to catch one. Ian caught that stunning one earlier this morning to showcase just how effective the 𝗲𝗶𝗺𝗶𝗵 bait boat is. Yeah, I'm just happy to have caught one on any method. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you in the next video.